to the news review segment of the Power Breakfast. My name is Charles Odamba. I'm sitting in for Fred Indimuli. In my panel today, I have Senator John Lonyangapuo, West Pokot, nominated Senator Beatrice Elachi, Mheshimiwa Jonathan Mweke, Deputy Governor Nairobi, and Mheshimiwa Irungu Kangata, Member of Parliament for Kiharu. A while back, we talked about the doctors' strike in the Daily Nation at the Standard. We talked about the drought situation in the country, the headline in the second headline in the Standard. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to look at the education sector. While presiding over a function yesterday at Makini School, the CS Education, Dr. Fred Matiang'i, said that indeed it's true that they are going to start a process of vetting university degrees as a way of ensuring that we have credibility in our systems. Over and above that, the Daily Nation on page 10 has a story about a survey that says girls' scores were switched with those of boys in the KCSE exams. We continue seeing more and more mystery in the KCSE 2016 results. Mheshimiwa Lonyangapuo, at one time you were an educationist. I will start with you.
Thank you.
Also, you remain an educationist.
Yes, I am. Yes. First of all, the results that we saw were shocking to this extent that you have kids that have failed properly. 33,000 of them failed, got E. As opposed to the previous year where not more than 3,000.
Actually, 5,000 in 2015.
Yes, not more than that. Now, when you jump from that number to 33, and looking at the way Kenyans have been performing from 1963, and I don't know where you want to tell us there have been collusion of exams coming, this is what we should be asking ourselves. The Ministry of Education has been there, alive and kicking. NEC has been there, alive and kicking. Why are we destroying the life of our children, yet these two entities exist? That is where Matiang'i should have spent all his life until he retires, making sure all bad elements in the ministry and the NEC must go. I have just seen there Kretsa University advertising for courses. We have over 40 private universities invested in by Kenyans. So many academies. In fact, in Kiambu, over 340 academies alone, isn't it? Now, when you suddenly come with this type of shock, what are you doing in the education sector? We was the only lifeline in Kenya when everything else had gone haywire. Corruption was #1 everywhere. Now, we allowed a few cartels working in the ministry and working in NEC. So not cheaters, don't transfer these things to our children and to our parents and teachers.
How else would he have handled it?
This is how he will have handled it. Wait a minute. This is how he will have handled it. Because he came with a bang and the whole world now says Kenyans are failures. Yet we are leading. The top physicist is in Harvard from Kenya. Alliance here. So if all of them are top everywhere, and you claim they were thieves, why are they leading in the whole world? The story should be, Matiang'i should have started to understand where this leakage comes from, who are the architects, use the police and the NIS and the CID. The system should have taken a year or 2 or 3 until we paralyze all those systems, including changing exams. Because those exams, they are done thorough. You know, these students, they revised from 1989 when this 844 arrived. They are drilled for it. So whichever exam you bring, they must pass. So we must ask ourselves from that point of view. Now we are killing universities instantly, dead. What next?
Beatrice, apparently from the report by Nation, the scores from girls were those of boys.
First of all, I want to say, I know everyone who is fighting this process is when anyone who was a beneficiary of the corruption that was happening within the
exam
education.
cheating.
Yes, and my professor knows very well. There was a time that reached where we used to say there is validation of exams, where a few teachers, those who are senior teachers, will come validate this exam before it is printed now for real exam. And I believe that's where all the cheating used to happen. So you do validation, but you're doing the real paper. You either do your WhatsApp, your anything, and then at one point you'll know how you'll switch and ensure this one, I have these billions, I have these millions, I have these millions, based on the validation that we have done for exams. That's where cheating started.
So then, what do you take of this report?
And for this, for me, I would want Nation to tell us, because they are the ones who have done the survey. They should come out and prove and tell the government that while you're saying this, the exams of girls were switched. We took the male exams, and for me, when I look as a parent now, that year you can see the disturbance we had in schools. Boys decided to really ban their schools. That time is when we had almost teachers striking. Really, even if we don't go to the Matiang'i, as parents, we don't expect our children would have performed well. In real due respect now.
Jonathan.
When we look at how our children were behaving, we have to take responsibility.
So we look
parents.
at the issues around.
So if other parents want to say, even when you ban schools, even when you strike, when you go home, you can come back and just pass an exam and get 200 A's in one school, really.
Jonathan,
we will be wrong as
boys'
parents.
grades were labeled as
parents.
girls' grades in the last year secondary school national exams. This is according to a survey that was done by the Daily Nation. Your take?
That's a report. I saw it today, so I wouldn't have enough data to authoritatively comment on it. But if it's true, it just shows that probably with the pressure to perform, pressure to show that you're very effective and results can come out very quickly, that the thorough marking or thorough validation or the due process was not followed in the exams. But if you look at the results that came out this year, and I'm with Professor Lonyangapuo on this, for results like that to happen, and I'm sure you guys will agree with me, results like that to be true, only two things could have happened. Two only. One, either in that exam they asked things that were not in the syllabus, or two, our students are not learning. There's no learning that's happening in school. Yeah, and I believe that two of those things can't be true. So my thoughts are there needs to be a very serious audit done, because
on those results.
Yes, because if what was asked was in the syllabus and our children are learning, there's no way you can have results where like everybody fails and 5 people pass. It's not possible.
I get you. Mheshimiwa Irungu Kang'ata, as we wind up on this, because I want us to move to Nairobi and the voter registration very quickly. Female candidates only beat their male counterparts in 8 out of the 30 subjects that were tested. That is according to the Daily Nation on page 10 and 11.
From where I sit, I have not read this story to the full details. So therefore I may not state much, strictly speaking, to rebut or to support the contentions provided for in the story. But I strongly believe this is cartels fighting back. I know private schools, private universities are not going to get students this year. I know there are so many people who are benefiting from that shambolic system that was existing prior to that. I am presently I teach in a university, and I strongly believe, looking at how I look at those students and other students, I believe our education standards, particularly in the universities, have been going down. So I believe what Matiang'i is doing is positive. But to reply to what he has said, there has been a discussion as to whether Matiang'i departed from some norm.
From the norm.
And the norm, they were saying, in evaluation, there are two standards. One, you can have what we call a strict standard, where you set certain standards, you then evaluate students based on that strict standard. And then you have what they call norm referencing evaluation system, where you, after you see the results, you now start pushing down or up the marks.
How did people perform generally?
So therefore they are competing against each other, not against a certain
system.
If at all previous examination system were where students compete against each other, not against a certain fixed standard, I now support Matiang'i. That was clearly wrong, because surely, to me, I would imagine an examination is about a certain system, a certain strict standard, where, for instance, 1 + 1 is 2, not where everyone says 1 + 1 is 0. So therefore, you now say 1 + 1 is 0.
Well
to me, it should be a clear standard.
Well
so Matiang'i, if at all Matiang'i adopted a strict standard, is right.
Is right.
As a university done, 1 minute. Let us be careful on what we are going to say and do in the universities. You know, I've already looking at people thinking university is just a place where you manufacture some certificates. We have professors there who have been there forever. Those fellows cannot suddenly become what you think they are doing. Just because of 1 or 2 malpractice, which are everywhere in the whole human system, doesn't mean that we begin to condemn our universities. Lastly, these 33,000 students of E, I want to hear Matiang'i and company telling us what agenda do they have for those children.
Good.
You cannot kill them and then you say, now let's move on. Move on to where?
Well said. I think we have to move on at this point.
But you see,
which is we seem to be running out of time.
It does not mean when a child got an E is a child that and I cannot condemn, because every child has their capability of doing things. So also when a professor stands and tells the whole country that is now where will they go, those children, they will do even much better, because let us not just grade children just in the purpose of their reading. They have other curriculums that they can do.
Well said. Let's move on, gentlemen and lady, and we get to a very contentious issue. We have Nairobi County. At one time there was a proposal that Nairobi County be transformed into a parastatal and the president appoint the chairman rather than it being one of the 47 counties. As we speak yesterday and over the weekend, there were campaign meetings here and there unofficially. Kidero is criticized over traffic jams, garbage and water problems. That came out when Peter Kenneth, the former presidential candidate, announced that he is actually going for the gubernatorial seat in Nairobi. He comes from Murang'a County and you seem so excited about it. If I may just nip what you told us earlier.
Well, that proposal to scrap Nairobi from where I sit was made by my dear senator from Murang'a, but I don't support it for various reasons. One, I know my people from Murang'a are quite many in Nairobi, and they have been using Nairobi County system to plunge into national limelight. For instance, several members of parliament are people who are originally serving the county, and therefore if you scrap it, it will not serve Murang'a people's best interest. That's number one. But for us to Peter Kenneth's bid, I can tell you, we people of Murang'a are very happy.
Is it throwing the spanner into the works in the Jubilee
No. For two reasons. One, this guy is a performer. He's performed very well when he was the member of parliament for a region. He served for 10 years. And therefore, if Nairobians want a person who is going to deliver goods, surely you should elect Peter Kenneth. When you look at the tenure of the person called Dr. Kidero, when he was at Mumias, we have now seen that indeed it was not a company that was being run very well. We have audit reports which are existing showing that Dr. Kidero does not have a very good history of managing public institutions. In any event, even without even going there, we have to look at 5 years of Dr. Kidero in Nairobi.
Okay, apart from Dr. Kidero, before somebody gets to Dr. Kidero, you have the Jubilee.
Sonko is my personal friend, so I wouldn't want to attack him directly. However, I can tell you as a matter of fact, managing Nairobi is quite complex. And
I hope you're not campaigning for Peter Kenneth. I just asked, how is Jubilee going to handle the whole situation? Let's just look at it generally.
Well, the point is Jubilee should allow free and fair nominations. We have Peter Kenneth there, we have Sonko, or any other person who wants to compete against Peter Kenneth. And from where I sit, I wish the people of Nairobi give Peter Kenneth a chance to serve them, because it's going to serve them very right.
Jonathan, does this mean you people have not done a good job, and that's why there are so many people coming up?
No, I think it's Tama. You know, I think
now I don't want to be opposed.
I think Jubilee and the Deputy President has been on record saying this, that by all means necessary, Jubilee must win the Nairobi seat. And I think it's just because they see that there's a court government that's working, and when Nairobi works, then it threatens the national equilibrium, and so there's a lot of panic at that area. I see the paper says Kenneth launches Nairobi bid. Kenneth launched his Nairobi bid 3 or 4 months ago. The only places he has visited, and only on Sundays for 1 hour, is Kikuyu dominated places. You can see my friend from Murang'a saying that all he's happy about is not what services will be given to Nairobians, how things are going to improve, how the GDP will improve in Nairobi. All he's caring about is, you know what, it's somebody from Murang'a who's coming to be the governor of Nairobi. And you see why that doesn't worry us, myself and Governor Kidero, is because we've put our foundation of the leadership of Nairobi to serve everybody. all the 42 tribes who live in this country. We serve them and serve them diligently. Actually, I think even the Kikuyus have even benefited most because of our policies of pro-business.
I want to request my director Malik to just play us a clip of what transpired yesterday so that we can put this into perspective. It's more than Peter Kenneth and Sonko and everybody. It's more of Jubilee has an array of candidates all gunning for this.
But I hope you'll also let me finish.
Yes, I will.
After the clip.
I will. Malik, my director, please, if you have this clip on.
It is an announcement that has been long in coming. Former Gatanga MP and 2013 presidential candidate Peter Kenneth finally laying bare his ambitions for Nairobi County's top seat.
It's now very clear, and I've made it absolutely clear, that I'm running for the position of governor in Nairobi.
Kenneth's announcement are the Nairobi Church receiving the backing of a section of Nairobi MPs and MCAs, among them Starehe Maina Kamanda and County Woman Representative Rachel Shebesh. But on the other side of the city, Jubilee aspirants opposed to Kenneth's bid under the banner of Team Nairobi were drumming up support for their bid.
Tumesimama kwa madhabahu ya Mwenyezi Mungu na tunasema kama hauko hapa, hauko katika ugavana wa Nairobi, katika jina la Yesu Kristo.
The leaders then headed to Murang'a County to oppose what it termed as an attempt to impose Kenneth on the city electorate, saying he did not back the president and his deputy during the ICC trial.
Alisponsiwa na wazungu akuje agawanye kura za Central, aangushe ati Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Jubilee.
Deputy President William Ruto last week met the Nairobi County aspirants and urged them to craft an all-inclusive lineup to ensure that the Jubilee Party clinches the county's top seats and a majority of the parliamentary and ward seats in the August general election.
Lazima nyinyi mtupatie sura mzuri kwamba jamii zote ambazo ziko Nairobi tuungane, kila jamii ipate nafasi, tukubaliane, ndio tutembee kama nyumba moja ya Jubilee.
Tamaa ya mtu mmoja binafsi tuko tayari kuachana nayo ili tuweze kupata umoja ambao utatupatia uongozi that will transform this city.
If it's consensus, we can sit and discuss. We are not going to talk ill of anybody. We are all shooting towards the same goal.
Yes.
Sources have indicated that the Jubilee ticket has narrowed between Sonko and Kenneth, even as the two camps openly go against each other months before the polls. Meanwhile, former Finance Minister Amos Kimunya has announced that he will make a comeback into politics and contest for the Kipipiri parliamentary seat on a Jubilee ticket.
The people have said, asked whether I'm available. I've declared my availability.
At the same time, former presidential aspirant Professor James Ole Kiapi has dropped his presidential ambitions to vie for a lower political seat, which he says he will announce at a later date.
Thank you very much. Quite an interesting report there.
Yeah.
Months before an election. And I saw somebody like you. I will come to you. I saw somebody like you.
Yes.
Are you supporting Peter Kenneth's bid?
Well, I am supporting Jubilee to come with one candidate. And
how come you are not, somebody said, if you are not where they are?
Well, yes, if we are not where we were, and you are saying you are in this other one, I think in the end of the day, what we want is a clear Nairobi agenda, and we know in the end, it is one candidate that will face my brother, the Governor Kidero, and my Deputy Governor. All I want to say, and I want to tell Deputy Governor, I think you had a very good opportunity. One of the things every Kenyan, be it a Kikuyu, believed in your leadership. Now, where you failed them is where you just need to retrace and look. Because there's something that went just wrong, completely. It went wrong in the markets, it went wrong in everything, it went wrong in garbage collection, it went... So, retrace, and that's why you're seeing everyone is now focusing and saying, and every Nairobian, wherever they are, you will feel they are disgruntled. Let us be honest.
So I will go back.
And they feel that indeed, somewhere down the line, what we felt, what we believed in 2013. Because at that time, to be very honest, nobody looked at Kidero because of ODM. No. People looked at Kidero, and why Waitito lost. That is one thing you should be praise Waitito every day. That people felt Waitito is just coming from the areas where people shout, and the elite just felt we cannot have Waitito. So all the elites voted for Kidero. They didn't look at their tribe. They don't like it. So this time round, I want to tell you for free, this county has to go back to the right track. The manager who will take over should be a manager.
And I want you to tell me for free, are you supporting Peter Kenneth's bid?
Of course, yes.
In the footage?
Of course, yes.
So you're supporting Peter Kenneth?
Yes, that's why I'm behind there.
What are you going to do about this push?
We will take them through a nomination. Let's get to a nomination so that anyone doesn't feel that I was left out. Let's go to a nomination.
As members of Jubilee, this words throwing back and forth now, how is it going to affect you?
Well, the word throwing is between the governors. I don't think any other person has word throwing. And so we are telling the governors, if you want to show us you really want to be the governor of Nairobi, then what this mudslinging in Jubilee does not work. In fact, we don't believe in it. We believe in fair competition. And fair competition means go to the debe. And our constitution gives you two types of debe. You can do consensus and you can do nomination.
Is this sitting well for you people? The incumbents?
I think it is. And when I hear what Senator Beatrice Elachi, and you know she's a very, very senior Jubilee member, you can even just tell by the dress.
Are you saying Professor is also...
Yeah, he's Kanu, you can see by the tie. So
that was very wrong on a Monday. I think he just dressed. Well, I didn't think of it, but the dress portrays, yes. If it is the dress, I am very okay with it.
I think
it's my color.
Yeah. I think Senator Elachi.
That's on the light note. It's not in my mind at all.
by the Senate, and she's a Nairobi politician running in one of our constituencies. When I see her understanding of Nairobi politics, I think it makes me even more comfortable. She says we got voted in by the elite. The elite in Nairobi is about 1.5% of the whole population. So if she thinks we got 700,000 votes because of 1.5% of the population, then I know Jubilee has no clue about Nairobi, and it makes us feel a little better. But anyway, what I'd like to comment about this story of Nairobi, I want to juxtapose it on the national agenda
platform,
and it just shows the hypocrisy that is there in Jubilee. And I'll give you two examples. Number one, Duale and Ruto keep saying that the opposition is disjointed, they're just coming together to give each other positions, that NASA will not go anywhere, and so on and so forth. Then here, you see Ruto again telling people of Nairobi, I want all you two, you tribe and you tribe and you tribe, to come together in Nairobi so that you give each other positions. Sheer hypocrisy and contradiction. Number two, you see Ruto saying everywhere again with Duale, leave the opposition, they're useless, they don't even have a candidate. Hey. And us, we're only four of us, Musalia, Kalonzo, Raila, and Wetangula. Now, here in Nairobi, there are 7 or 8 of them. If you add Philip Kisia, I don't know, Esther Passaris, there are about 7 fighting for this Nairobi 7 months to the election. They are most disorganized. At least us, we are in one camp. We are saying we are talking, we'll decide on our candidate, nobody's calling each other names. Here, they're in churches, different places, one saying if you are not here, you're useless, the other one saying you are from Eastlands, you cannot win. So I think the disorganization in Jubilee is a very, very big plot for us. But I'd also like to urge, as we go into this election, especially in Nairobi, because Nairobi is the nerve center. Dr. Kidero and I came up with a manifesto on 7 pillars: infrastructure, health, governance, and all of that. And we have something to show for it. We've been talking about it, we keep talking about it. We know where we found Nairobi, we know where Nairobi is today.
And Nairobians can see for themselves.
And Nairobians can see
so
for themselves.
So they'll be able to judge you based on those
Correct.
pillars.
But what I keep hearing is when Jubilee is out there campaigning against us, is Kidero has failed, Mweke has done this. Why can't people just come and say, this is what we are going to do for Nairobi? Sisi tutajitetea. We know what we've done. We know what we said we're going to do, and we have a scorecard. And we've been in office for 4 years, and I can assure you, Charles, that we can account for our 4 years in office, because we have the results.
Well said. Professor, I want to come to you. I'll request that you comment a bit about this Nairobi situation, but I also want you to tell us, now that you're a member of KANU, is KANU in NASA?
First of all, I'll talk about Nairobi. I'm not a voter in Nairobi.
But you're a resident.
I'm a resident in Nairobi. I want to wish well anybody who think has a better agenda to present to Kenyans here in Nairobi. Better street lights, working on this system of bad jam, how they can decongest it. I want to see how this garbage can be removed, and finally see that Nairobi is also performing in terms of academia. You know how their kids are performing. If counties were being ranked, Nairobi is not normally among the top 10. So Mweke and your team,
we're number 7.
No, those are just those are your
but the results are there, the professor. We are number 7.
Listen to the professor. I'm telling you from past experience.
Past.
Including up to now.
Prikidero.
Up to now.
No, okay, this number 7 is as at now.
As at now.
And who gave you rankings anyway? Because rankings are not allowed. You
but
know,
they are published in the ministry.
These are just things that have been put.
Okay, you made your point.
My
You made your
point
point.
is that we wish them well. So when I see too many people wanting to become to offer services, it means we are matured as a nation. Anybody is allowed to talk. So you believe even if you bring 50, fine, we will watch. And yourself, you are sitting on the throne, so you don't talk about them. Just continue working.
We continue working.
About KANU
and NASA.
About KANU. Don't tell me about NASA. About KANU.
I already have my answer.
Yes, about KANU. KANU is the party that put you people where you are. To belittle KANU and wanting to insert KANU everywhere, let's watch what we are saying, because KANU is equivalent to Kenya. In 1963, the agenda for KANU is the one that the national government adapted and used it to build this nation. So when I am seeing that people are wanting to take KANU everywhere, I say this one belongs to this. We have said we want to rebuild ourselves, because the people who used to be in KANU, a number of the giants migrated to CORD. Some of them are now in NASA, and the majority of them went to Jubilee. So we want, those of us who are there want to rebuild the party of choice, the one that made Kenya what it is today. Because these others, who doesn't know the history of these new parties? They come and go. NAC came with the power that swept everybody, it died. PNU, it died. Jubilee, 2018, it will die. So we know the history. So KANU
You're speaking like a prophet, Professor.
Yes, the best prophet, anyway. Lastly, as to who we are going to support, 2013 we supported Uhuru Kenyatta.
As KANU.
As KANU. It was Pokot where I come from, and sometimes I wonder when I see Ruto, the deputy president, he came here and he said KANU never voted for them. I wondered what the man said, what he was saying. Because his name was not in the ballot box. So he might not have known who voted for him. So we voted for Uhuru Kenyatta. This year, we will decide.
You have not decided.
By by May or June, just like we decided the last minute.
But the Secretary General of a party is the face of the party.
That is an individual, and he's acting. Acting is different from the full secretary was William Ruto, who went. Then we put this one to act, and everybody's acting. So we just watch what we are saying. West Pokot has the KANU county government. So when you see Lonyangapuo here, you see where KANU is alive and kicking.
Well said.
Yes. So
for the next 30 days,
yes,
Kenyans who have not registered as voters are expected to turn out and register as voters in their respective polling stations and wards. We are seeing a lot of buoyance among the political parties, a lot of coercion, we are seeing threats. In some places, they're saying if you don't register as a voter, if you don't have a voter's card, you can't do this, you can't do this. Are we going to meet our targets? And is this the best way to go about it? To urge people to vote? Mheshimiwa Kang'ata.
Yes, it is true. To me, I think this is the only way out. And I would imagine this time IBC will be able to reach the 6 million intended voters. The reason being, we are now in the campaign mood. I foresee a situation where so many aspirants will be mobilizing their supporters for registration. We also have
and probably fairing fairing people?
I think this idea of voter switching from their places where they usually vote to go to another place should not worry anyone for several reasons. There was a time I was an elected councillor. During that time, my ward was quite small, and therefore it made sense for one to ferry people from this region to my ward, or even from my ward to another ward, because one could win with about 500, 200 extra votes vis-a-vis the competitor. These days, wards have been enlarged. So you have a ward with about, on average, particularly in our region, a ward comprised of about, let's say, 30,000 registered voters. So for you to ferry people and make an impact, you have either to bring about 10,000 new voters. That does not make economic sense.
It's not economic.
So I don't foresee massive voter importation. So, well, I have heard in Nairobi there has been attempt to ferry people from outlying districts. I don't know whether that's true or, but to me I think that's neither here or there. So I would urge my people from Murang'a County and also Jubilee supporters to come in numbers. We need to register and to ensure CORD does not take away power from us. Of course, I don't foresee them doing so. So therefore, I would urge, which I did yesterday when I was in Gatanga region, I did urge the people of Gatanga today to come out and register as voters.
Jonathan?
Yeah.
Is this coercion, threats and stuff, are we going to meet our target?
Yeah, this voter registration business, first of all, has been done lopsidedly. Because of the scramble of everybody desperate to win elections. You find now, instead of the politicians coming out and telling people why they need to register, the importance of being a voter and so on and so forth, there's a lot of coercion and everyone is trying to do each other, to outdo each other to get their votes. But really all this work is the responsibility of the IEBC. Their core function is to register voters and make sure that they conduct credible, free and fair elections. So there's a miss in the system somewhere where politicians are now beginning to do the job of the IEBC, to come out there and take the voter registration in their hands. Politicians typically, and even in more mature democracies, their job is to get out the vote when people have already been registered. But a more worrying thing for me, Charles, is the apathy that we've been seeing. If I talk to a lot of young people, because for me the youth agenda is one of my biggest agendas, and the young people are saying, listen, why do we need to register to vote and vote if when we line up for all these hours, vote, and then our vote is stolen? Why should we line up to register when the politicians come and tell us they'll do all these things for us, and then when we line up and we vote for them,
they don't do that.
They don't do that and our lives become worse. And I think we need a very serious paradigm shift in our system of governance where the citizens now take control. And I'm telling the young people, just because there's been challenges, there should be no apathy. Because for you as a citizen, for you to make any sort of small difference, you must register to vote and you must cast your vote, because that is your #1 citizen responsibility.
So do you have a problem with politicians urging people to come out and register as voters? Now that you say it's the core business of IEBC.
What happens with that is it begins to bring the corruption in the electoral system, because it costs a lot of money to mobilize people to go and vote. You're going to see politicians buying for people transport, putting ads in the newspaper, putting ads in the TV and in the TV shows of their own money to try and see if they can outdo their friend who's going to run against them to register more voters.
At Bomas of Kenya, we saw your coalition's leaders led by Raila Odinga saying they will go to every corner of the country urging people to turn up and register as voters. Are you contravening that?
I'm not contravening that. I'm saying that our coalition has taken matters into their own hands because there's a break in the system. We should not have to do that. Raila Odinga should not, under any circumstances, need to go to West Pokot to mobilize people to register voters. The IEBC has a budget. That's in their job description. They should be doing that work. Raila's job should be to go out and tell people, come out and vote when they're already registered.
Well said, Beatrice. Yeah. Are we going to meet the target of 6 million set by IEBC?
I believe
we have 9 million people registered as national citizens.
Yes, I believe so. First of all, what we need to do, all of us as leaders, and I think that is why IEBC believes we are all stakeholders in this, is to ensure those who have taken the identification cards and they have never voted, it's their first time, we look for them. So it is a matter of us to do a door-to-door to ask young people, do you have an ID? But you have a voter's card, and make sure they go out